Thank you for coming to interview with the radio station. Um,
Okay.
I think my first question to relate to radio is how do you like to go about discovering new music? I would imagine as an artist you have your own kind of ways that you really liked to find new music. And what's your favorite way?
I think like mainly through like if I like a band, I'll see like kind of like what label they're on and then see what other bands like that label puts out. Um, yeah, I think I just like all of us played in like punk and hardcore bands growing up, so I think just like those smaller like labels that are just putting out like local bands and stuff like that are kind of like my way into like discovering all the music that I did when I was younger.
That's sick. Are there any bands in that scene right now that you are really enjoying that are kind of up and coming?
I'm really liking everything that Total Supply is doing right now. They're like a label that's like it's like Toronto and Detroit. Um the label is run by like two of my friends and they play in this band Pluto's Kiss that just put out a record. And 9Million's gonna be we're doing like our LP release show with them. It's like a joint like LP release show in Toronto at the end of November.
Oh, that's
Um
sick.
yeah, but they're really cool. They're putting out like a lot of like younger like cool hardcore bands and stuff like that.
Sick. Another thing I wanted to ask is I talked to a lot of artists that and recently Ethel Kane, who y'all toured with, obviously, went to the Criterion Closet and talked about the kind of movies that inspired a lot of her work. And I wanted to ask 9Million, and you as their guy, what non-musical art pieces kind of inspired that album for you? Were there any like really evocative paintings or movies or anything like that?
I was reading a lot of like Jim Carroll like poetry and like basketball diaries and forced entries and like the petting zoo. But I feel like that's like kind of like maybe the first time that where I've been like reading books and I'm like I feel like this is kind of like inspiring the music more than like other stuff that I've read in the past. Like the whole chorus of Joe's song is actually like a Jim Carroll like poem. So that's like I didn't actually write the lyrics for that chorus. That's why it's like in the lyrics they're like quoted because it's like a
Oh, I didn't
section
know
from
that.
Basketball Diaries. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That book is really cool. I ended up getting forced entries and then I was like, oh, this is like the sequel to Basketball Diaries. And I ended up reading that before um Basketball Diaries. And then I kind of like from there kind of just like dove into like a lot of other stuff he's like worked on and stuff.
Sick.
Yeah.
That's dope. I was listening to Joe's song last night. Um,
Oh yeah.
I did not know that. That's such cool lore, dude.
Yeah, yeah.
Sick. I would not have guessed that it was like literary inspired, but that's cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, okay, this one's a little bit deeper, this next question. I think I've just kind of started exploring a lot of like alt rock, punk, shoegaze type scenes. And I've felt like these are these really evocative concerts. They're very emotional. You come out of them feeling more changed than a lot of shows I went to when I was younger. And I wanted to ask if you had any like kind of defining experiences with this genre, this world you're in, where you were like, oh, I need this to be my life. Like this was such like a change, like significant experience. This is such like there's like a word for it, like catalyst for me. Do you have any like defining moments like that with the genre, with with shoegaze, rock music in general, anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, like 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 I was saying, like coming up, I was definitely going to more like hardcore punk shows as a kid, and I felt like just like the energy of those shows was just kind of like unmatched to like anything else. Like going to like a show at like a big like arena when I was like a kid or something with like my parents, and I was like, this is cool. And then I like remember the first time I went to like a small local show, and I was just like, dude, this is so crazy. I was like, I want to do this. Like, I want to play music. But I think also like I used to make, or not used to like, but I like grew up with my friend Nicole, like Nicole Dollinganger, And I think like playing music with her and starting with her, like she's kind of had like a crazy cult following, like fan base. Like Ethel Kane actually played her first show opening for Nicole, and that's how I
Mhm.
like heard of Hayden and stuff. But I think like playing shows with Nicole and seeing how her music has kind of like affected other people or like really been like really important to them and stuff. I think that was like another big moment where I was just like, damn, this is like really crazy, or like really cool how it's like really like I don't know,
Oh yeah.
connecting like so many people like all over the place, and it was like a really cool experience, like just like witnessing it and stuff. Maybe that wasn't like, I mean, it was so for me too because I was like able to be a part of it and kind of like see it happen. And I feel like what I saw like that was kind of like how I felt like going to like smaller shows when I was like younger.
Yeah, that's so cool. I was gonna link that to Hayden's performance because I know, I was in the crowd, people go crazy. You have that sort of energy opening for her, I'm sure. Um, and so it's really cool to see how receptive the audience is and how like emotionally connected they really are to the music. Which is something I think in the alternative genres you see a lot, which is really cool. I
For
like
sure.
how open people are to cry, to dance, to be affected by the music, which is something you just don't get in a lot with those bigger arena shows. That I think a lot of people,
For
the
sure.
local shows, louder shows, kind of get into that is really sick. Um, okay, cool. I have a couple more questions. Oh, favorite 9 Million song? Yeah, on the
Hmm.
spot, dude.
Hmm. Favorite 9 Million song.
All the band members are gonna
I
watch
think
this.
Creation. I think Creation's my favorite.
Okay, sick. That was
Yeah,
not what I was
yeah,
gonna imagine, but sick, dude.
yeah, yeah. I think it's just like I think so far it kind of like captures the most of what I kind of like want the project to be.
Mhm.
We've never played like the full version of it yet either, so I
Oh,
think that'll.
really?
Yeah,
I thought
we
it was
only
a
ever
little
played
short.
like up until like the outro,
Mhm.
like jam section, but we've never done the full thing. But I think like once we play that in its like entirety, I'll be like, this is the coolest thing.
This is not on my list, but it's just something I'm interested in. How did you guys and you specifically kind of evolve from the first LP to the second LP? I mean, obviously the newest one is self-titled. That is kind of representing of like, oh, this is a culmination of our sound a little bit. Like we know where we are.
Mhm.
How do you imagine that? How do you kind of what would you say about the difference between the first LP and the second LP? How did your sound evolve and where do you want it to keep going? If you can put it into words, which might be tough.
Well, I think like yeah, well, I think this LP was like it like we like knew we were making an LP. Like the
Hmm.
first like Between Us record, it was kind of like it started in COVID, and I was like putting out singles, and I think I put out like almost the whole album before like it was released as an album. It's tech like we've always called that like a mixtape. This one was definitely like more intended to be an actual like album.
Sick.
No
You were
sweat.
talking about
No sweat.
uh the newest LP being more like you knew you were making an album and things like that, where the last one felt more like a mixtape. But I was gonna say, I think you can hear that in the production of it a little bit. There's a little bit more like complex layering in the newest one, and then I just wanted to ask, what kind of emotions were floating with you while you wrote this newest album, and kind of about your experience. You play with a much larger band, and I
Mhm.
was curious if you have any kind of strategies or like interesting stories about how you layer those emotions with your other band members and things like that, and how you go about that creation process when you're getting feedback from so many different artists.
Yeah, there I think there was like a core like group of us that were kind of like more invested in kind of like working on like absolutely everything. Everybody like played on the record and we all like wrote stuff on it and stuff like that. Um it's kind of like I mean I want like I definitely write about like personal experiences, but I definitely want people to be able to like listen to the record and kind of like interpret it in their own emotional way. But it's kind of like a just going through, I don't know, it's hard to like kind of touch in exactly on what I was writing about for certain songs and stuff, but it's like a lot of like relationship stuff and kind of like supposed to be like a life and death kind of arc throughout the whole record, where it's like creation is actually kind of like the beginning of the record in a way. That was actually supposed to be the first song.
Oh,
And but the way that I think about it is like, or the way I like to like see it, there's like creation's kind of the beginning, and then Armageddon's kind of like the rebirth of everything, and then everything throughout the record kind of is like a life itself or whatever, and then Forever Sweet Sweet Same is kind of like the end, and then See You Soon is like the death of the record, and then it kind of like starts over with creation, and that's kind of at least the way that I like look at the record and the way I kind of like tried to structure it or like have it
yeah,
feel.
that's so cool.
Mhm.
Uh, Sick. I also want to ask, where do you want to take 9 Million in the future? What are you guys hoping to do next? Are you gonna chill for a little bit after releasing this and going on a pretty kick-ass tour, or full speed ahead? What's the move?
Well, so yeah, we're just finishing this leg now, and then we get back on the 10th, and then on the 15th, we're playing a show with Wednesday in Toronto, and
Sweet.
then the 29th, we're doing our like record release show, and then we'll probably chill for like December, January. I think we're gonna start writing new music and stuff. We're planning on doing like a little trip to like a cottage and doing like a big writing session just as like the whole group, like with everybody. And then we're doing the next like US tour with Ethel Kane, like supporting again. And that's kind of like those are all our tour plans right now. And I think like in between now and then, we're just gonna start working on new music and try to, yeah, plan some
Yeah,
new
yeah.
stuff. I think maybe this time next year we're like starting to talk about doing like a headline or like a co-headline tour with someone else, but nothing's really like fully uh planned for that just yet. It's all kind of just in talks and stuff like that. But we'll just gotta
Yeah.
see what comes our way. We don't have anything too specific we're planning right now, other than like the next tour in like April.
Yeah.
Hmm.
From what you can say right now, do you have any dream co-headliners? Is there anyone you're really looking at that you think would be sick? Is there anyone you've kind of got your hopes up for? Is there anyone that has their hopes up for you guys that's like asking you guys to headline with them? Anything like that? From what you can
We're
say.
we're trying to do some stuff with Graham Hunt. He's like one of our like favorite artists of all time. But I think just like any of our friends, we're just trying to go out with. Like we did our first tour with Glitterer.
So
And I think
sick.
we really want to like tour with them again, just because like it was like I think it was like very nostalgic because it was like the first like tour 9 Million did, and we had like such a good time with them, and they're just like such good friends of ours.
And so thank you guys for giving me that experience. And for interviewing me. This was so sick.
Dude, this was
Um,
so sick. Yeah, thank you so
Yeah,
much.
yeah, dude. Thank you for taking your time. Send my regards to your bandmates.
Dude, I
Uh,
will for
to, to,
sure.
in 9 Million, your bandmates with Hayden. And yeah, thank you for taking your time. And I hope you have a great rest of your day, man. It was so
Thanks so
sick
much,
to
dude.
talk.
All right,
Peace.
see you later.